Hi, everybody. I'm Nicole Mahalski, and I want to welcome you to the Your Best Life Yet Summit. I am so excited to introduce you to today's guest speaker. Kevin Clayson, the Chief Officer of Awesome, is known for dancing and rapping his way into the hearts of audiences across North America. As a highly requested and highly rated professional youth and corporate speaker, Kevin's recent book, Flip the Gratitude Switch, while receiving universal praise, is already being heralded in the personal development and business communities as one of the most important life success books ever. Kevin is one of the founders of a revolutionary multi-million-dollar real estate investment company called Done For You Real Estate USA. Kevin and his partners have helped their clients acquire hundreds of millions of dollars in residential real estate over the last 10 years and take great pride in restoring the American dream one investment property at a time. Kevin's list of accomplishments include running full marathons, splitting 2 pairs of pants while dancing in front of large audiences, and holding his family's record in the Nintendo Wii game Just for Dance. Kevin is a dedicated family man who believes that no matter what happens professionally, nothing will ever be more important than the work he does within the 4 walls of his home with the 4 people he loves the most, his beautiful wife and 3 amazing kids. Welcome, Kevin. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be with you. Thanks for having me.
No problem.
This is great.
I've asked Kevin here to really share with you guys the importance of gratitude and how it can really make a significant shift in your life. So Kevin has this great 4-step approach that he uses, and I practice it as well. And what it has done is really allowed me to shift back to gratitude really quickly. And I know that you guys will be able to experience that as well. So Kevin, will you be able to share with us a little bit of your story? You know, some of the things that you've gone through, experience that has really led to the shifts that you've had that has allowed you to create the success that you see in your life today.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I also just want to say thank you for having me, because the work that you're doing right now, everybody watching, everything that you're doing to put this on is so extraordinary. And I just want everybody to imagine for a moment, what if more of us did what Nicole's doing? Like how cool would that be? Because what it could mean is, think of how many more lives we could potentially touch if we were willing to kind of put ourselves out there and go, you know what? I'm going to share what I know and I love with the world. And I just want everybody watching, think about that through this entire summit. Think about not just what you're gaining for you, but think about the opportunity that has been provided for you to learn it. And I want more of us to go out and do stuff like that, because I just think what you're doing is magnificent. And thank you so much for letting me be a part of it. It's kind of amazing. So,
thank you.
You know, to kind of go back, I grew up in California, and I grew up with kind of the same mentality that I think a lot of people have, which is just sort of, you know, you go to work and you go to school so that you can go get a good job. And then you kind of just, you know, you get a family and a dog and a white picket fence, whatever. And hopefully everything works out okay and you can retire and all is well. Okay, so that's all fine and good. But what I didn't realize is that that process from going to school to kind of figuring out where you want to be in your life, there are a lot of bumps in the road, like a lot. And some of the bumps are unexpected. Some of them, I would dare to say all of them, are somewhat created by you and the way that you're approaching life just in general. So what I needed to ultimately find is when those things happen, is there a way that I can interact with life as it happens? Because hardships come in. There's going to be things that are going to take place in your life that are going to be difficult. So the question is, what do you do in those moments? How can you take a tiny moment that otherwise may seem like disaster and change it and flip it in a way that it not only becomes something magnificent, but it fuels you to take one more step towards the life of your dreams? And that's something that I hadn't really found. I went through a divorce years ago. I was married for like 3.5 years. She fell in love with somebody else, woke up one day and said, I don't love you anymore, and we're done. I had no idea what to do with myself. I totally shifted my entire life, because I'm like, what am I doing that is so wrong that she doesn't want to be with me? Like, I try to love her. I try to do all these things. How could she fall in love with a friend of mine? How is it that I'm not enough? And so I started to change some things in my life, and I started to go down a different career path. And that was really tough. And then I became self-employed and tried to look at the world of entrepreneurship. And that was really tough. But I found a home with a couple partners of mine, and we started this company that we've had now for 10 years. if you have ever started a business, you know it is going to be fraught with difficulty. But I had no idea how tough it would be. And I got to a point in our company's evolution where I was at complete and total rock bottom. And you got to understand, rock bottom for me was like, it wasn't like I was addicted to some sort of a substance, and it wasn't like I had some kind of game-changing injury and I just kind of had to figure it out. That's not so much what happened. It was, for me, I kind of come to realize that rock bottom is sort of that place where you don't know what else to do, and you maybe finally gain the strength to do what you kind of have always known you needed to do. And this one day I pulled into the parking lot and I was looking down at the office where I was supposed to go. And we'd hired a guy that was our director of marketing. And like, he and I did not get along. Like, just straight up, have you ever known anybody that just like hates your face for no reason? Like, they cannot stand the fact that you live. Like, and that was this guy. I couldn't do anything right. And I hated working with them. And I pause before I say the word hated, because in our home, hate's a bad word. Like, we don't say it. Like, our kids are like, Daddy, you said the H word. And I despised, I hated working with this guy. And he hated working with me. And you got to understand, at the point in my life, on paper, everything should have been good. Like, we had this company, things were going well. I was traveling all over the country and speaking. I was, we just had our second kid, our awesome, amazing son, Braxton, who now is 6, but he just spent 2 weeks in the NICU. He had some problems with his breathing and had a collapsed lung and got a pneumonia just as a little baby. And so he was in the NICU. That was really tough. And he was healthy now. He was at home, but he never slept through the night. And I was exhausted because I was always getting up with him. I was traveling all over. Traveling is not easy. And I was working with somebody who disliked my face. And I don't think I liked his very much either. And it was just bad. Like, I just remember that day sitting in my car. And by the way, let me just take inventory for a second. Like, it's not that bad, right? Like, you and I know, like, that's not that bad, right? It's real. Like, everything on paper is kind of still awesome. But isn't it funny that even though things are on paper awesome, sometimes we don't feel how awesome they are? That, my friends, is a remarkable lack of gratitude, which is what I had. I didn't know how to be thankful for all of it, right? I didn't know how to be thankful for things that kind of sucked, as well as things that are awesome. Like, it's super easy to be thankful when things are going amazing. Like, everything's good in your marriage. Everything's good with your kids. Your kids are listening and they're making their bed. They're brushing their teeth. They're doing all of that stuff. The business is going good. You're making money hand over fist. All of that stuff, right? Pretty easy to be like, I'm pretty thankful for this. This is pretty good. Like, that's simple. But what happens when you can't see the good? What happens when it all feels like it's falling down and coming down around you, and you're sitting there in the middle of this frustration, like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do? So that's where I was. And I had this thought come to my mind that I obviously knew I needed to change. And I'd studied personal development tons. And, I'd been to tons of seminars and read tons of books, but I couldn't break out of the funk. I had this thought come to me. And by the way, this is why I am such an advocate of summits like this. Why I'm such an advocate of going to live events and joining masterminds and things like that, because you never know when something you heard maybe 10 years ago at one of these events, it planted a seed in your brain, and you never know when that seed has been watered a little bit, or you're reminded that that seed is there and you can kind of cultivate it. Because what happened for me is I was sitting in my car looking down at the office I was supposed to go to, feeling like everything sucked, even though on paper it didn't, but just feeling like I didn't know how to break out of the funk, this kind of mini depression that I was in. And I had the thought come to mind of somebody who I'd heard speak years earlier, and he talked about gratitude. And I was like, I know gratitude. Like, come on. Like, be thankful. Like, I get it. Like, in America, we have Thanksgiving. Like, we can be thankful once a year and have turkey. Like, I get it, right? And I'd known, and there's tons of personal development, right? Where it's like, you got to be thankful, do a gratitude journal. So I knew that, like, but it for some reason this day, that idea of gratitude planted a different type of seed in my brain. It was this thought that, what if there's something in this idea of gratitude that could like shift not just my now, but what if it could shift my forever? And so in the book, I talk all about it. I won't go into it here, but there's a whole process I went through, and where I arrived is as at a place where I realized that if we can practice active gratitude inside of life's frustrations, the very moment that the frustration crops up, if we can be thankful for and in that, it actually chemically changes our body. And over time, if we do that enough, it rewires our neural pathways and we begin to look at everything completely differently. And it's something that I came to call flip the gratitude switch. And I can tell you, even since I wrote the book, we did the book because I felt like it's kind of, I believe in God. I felt like it's what God wanted me to do. And I put the book out there, and in order to do it, I left my company, like totally left it. I said I kissed away every bit of income that I was generating so that I could focus on this book. We had some money that we could use to put it out there. And I did. And the book's been out about a year. And I don't know what I expected. I think I just kind of expected that everybody would sort of love it instantly. And people who read it do really like it. And I hear from people like you, and you tell me that it made a difference for you. And I can't tell you how much that means. But we went through some rough times this last year. We saw our financial world really kind of collapse around us. And here I had this amazing wife and these 3 kids. And I did the one thing that I felt like I was born to do, yet everything was still collapsing around us because I wasn't the right kind of prepared. I had this message that I knew was in me, but I didn't know how to create the business of my message, or I thought that my message would be my business. I didn't realize that the message really is sort of this fabric that's woven inside of my life that I can use inside of all these other things I've done. Now I've got, we're in great shape. I'm back at my company. We're growing the company. We have money again. There's been some really cool things, but it was tough. I got to tell you, not a lot of people know this, and I want to share this with the audience. We were in foreclosure. We lost a car. We had a car repossessed. There was one night when we just needed milk. And this is after I published my book. Okay, this is after I'd had grown these businesses. This is after everything. And I said, I kissed it all goodbye so that I could do this. And I literally had to go through a little change and to be able to go buy milk. And boy, man, that'll humble you real quick. And you want to know what the crazy thing is? Through all of it, through all of the tough stuff, through all of the feeling like my life was collapsing around me, but sort of in a different way after I had this message into the world, the one thing that I had next to my wife and my kids was this idea that I'd already wrote a book on. What if I could be thankful in the very moment that the most difficult things are happening to me? What if I could find gratitude embedded in a frustration, embedded in a hardship? So I practiced what I wrote the book about. Can I tell you? None of that stuff that happened, as hard as it was, none of it got me down. I never once took a nosedive into depression like, oh my gosh. It was always like okay, cool. There's something that happened. Awesome. Let me find a way to be thankful for it. And what that allowed me to do is I went from here down to here. And what could have taken people a long time to grow out of, it took me just a matter of 1 or 2 months. And I believe that was fueled by the gratitude I was feeling inside of the frustration and the hardships that were happening. So I don't know if that's kind of what you were looking for, but I just want the audience to know I had plenty of stuff happen to me before I figured out this message. Then even after I figured out this message and I started to share it with the world, and my life and my brain started to change because of what I wrote the book about, I had a whole nother slew of really tough things. And I'm so thankful for all of it because it helped me know that everything I put in that book is so real and it actually works. Even when it seems like the world is falling down around you, there's a way to be thankful for the stuff that's happening. And if you can do it, oh my gosh, your life shifts and changes in such a dramatic and drastic and incredible way that you literally don't ever have to live that life again. And it all starts, this is the cool part, it all starts right now, this moment, in the very next frustration that you receive. So anyway, that's kind of a little bit of my story and kind of where we've been and where we got to. And it's been an unbelievable ride. I'm so thankful for every single second of it and all the hardship that's come along the way. It's been magnificent, honestly.
Kevin, I appreciate you sharing that story with us so much and being totally honest, because one of my, I think, kind of biggest frustrations that I see in the world out there is that so many people have these amazing visions, but we're scared. We don't know what's going to happen. So we're looking for help, and we see there's all kinds of experts out there. There's all kinds of stuff that you can go YouTube and look to see, like, how do you launch this, your big dream, or how do you go out and really go after what you want to do? And to me, a lot of them, it makes it seem so easy that, well, you just have to go do this.
So
like,
true.
And you're going to be successful. It's don't worry about any of the other stuff. I can totally relate to your experiences, and no, that is the reality of it. When you want to go and fulfill your dreams and you have a mission in your heart that you know that you're meant to achieve, you are going to face a lot of challenges, a lot of stuff just like that. And you're going to have to learn how to be grateful and to, like, be able to pick yourself back up and go through them and know that you're not alone. Everybody that's achieved great success in their life, I will almost guarantee that 99% of them, they've all hit those walls. They've all gone through those really tough times where they thought they were going to lose it all, or they doubted whether they were meant to do this.
Or they did lose it all.
Yeah, or they did lose it all.
Right.
And you still have the ability to come through that and really achieve everything that you're wanting to achieve and fulfill that purpose and live out your mission and to be able to do that. So I am so grateful that you were totally honest with us and shared that story, because that's what people really need to know. Because when they hit that spot, all they're thinking is like, what's wrong with me? Because this is not what everybody else talks about, but that's the reality of it. So thank you for sharing that, so that our audience
something? You're so welcome. So, to kind of like really go a little bit deeper there. So when I got to the point where, I basically not been working for, 1 or 2 years to really, it took me about 2 years to do Flip the Gratitude Switch. So luckily we had some resources that allowed us to publish it right and take all this time to do it. And then I kind of thought that if we burnt through all the resources that we had, and luckily we had a couple little pieces of real estate that still paid a little bit and whatever, but if we could burn through all that, the book would come out and then like magically it'd be a millionaire, right? Because that's, Nicole, that's what we hear, right? You just do the thing and then it sort of happens. There's a lot more grind that comes after the thing comes out, right? There's a lot more you have to do after you kind of reach that apex. And so when I realized that it was going to take time for my message in the book and my speaking career and everything to get to where I wanted it to be, I had to do something because I have a family. And I went and got, this was so humbling for me. I went back to the industry that I started in, and I got a part-time job at a retail place just to pay a few bills, right? Like literally, I got to that point. And it required me to scrub toilets from time to time. And can I tell you something? It was awesome. Here's why. Because as I was cleaning the stainless steel on the stall, as I was scrubbing and cleaning the toilet, I never once was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have to do this. Like, seriously, I'm so much better than this. I'm a published author. Like, how could I do this? Never once felt that. You know what I did feel? I went, I am so thankful for this opportunity to get my family back on our feet after doing what we thought was the one thing that we had to do. That's our mission. And I would feel so thankful for that stainless steel as I was scrubbing it, or that toilet as I was flushing it after I cleaned it. And I made this kind of little internal commitment. I thought, if I am going to clean toilets, I'm going to clean them better than anybody else. If I'm going to scrub stainless steel, it is going to be more shiny than anybody else, because that's me living my message. Because my message is to be thankful for all of it. And if I'm not thankful for the toilet that I'm scrubbing, and if I'm not thankful for the stainless steel that I'm having to polish, I'm not my message. Kevin, you are your message. So be that message all the time. And let me tell you what happened. Everybody who I worked with saw it. And you know what? They all went and bought books, because they went, hold on, there's something different here. The way this guy's approaching this stuff is different than most people in retail. Why is that? Because there's something different, because I figured something out and I'm going to use it. So many of us write a book. And this is, if you have anybody in your audience, Nicole, that's like, speaker, author, mentor type, you're going to hear tons of stuff from like the gurus that you just got to get a book done, right? Look, yeah, we should all write a book, but just getting the book done doesn't mean that your career is magically going to be on fire, especially if you just get a book done and you're not really passionate about what's in it. You just do it because you feel some sort of like weird sense of obligation, like this is what I'm supposed to do. Man, you go ask Bob Berg, who wrote The Go-Giver, if he wrote The Go-Giver just because it's what he's supposed to do. No, those were principles that he believed in. You go ask my buddy Hal Elrod if he wrote The Miracle Morning because that's what he's supposed to do, so to be a business owner, or if he did it because it changed his life and he wanted to share it. Man, the people that write the real books are the ones that make the real shift and who embody their message. And so if I'm going to scrub toilets and if I'm going to scrub stainless steel, man, I'm going to embody my message every second of that because I am the message. The message is me. And if it's going to be communicated to others, it's got to come through me, through all my actions, through my words, no matter what is going on around me. And I just want to emphasize that because I think that there's not nearly enough people sort of in the industry, guru types, that really help you see. Like they'll say the word passion, like we know passion's a big thing, but until you find that thing that you are really like actually really passionate about, and it's probably going to be something that has drastically shifted your life, and probably going to be something that you heard from somebody, that you learned from somebody, and then you took it and you just added your own sort of flair to it, and it becomes your thing, right? There's nothing new in personal development. Gratitude is not new. Nobody had written a book that was like a guidebook on how to go find gratitude when life sucked. And nobody talked about flipping the gratitude switch and giving a formula of what to do inside of a frustration so you can feel gratitude. That's my little spin. That's my little take on something that already existed. But I became so passionate about it because it's what I did for me. I don't expect everybody to start flipping the gratitude switch left and right tomorrow after they read the book, although I'd love them to. But if I can give them just one tiny nugget that helps them in their journey by expressing what I'm passionate about, by taking something I heard and then adding something on top of it so that it really became mine and it really changed my life, now I can be passionate to the point where I can share that with others in a way that it will have an impact on others and others will continue their journey. And I just think that that's one of the downfalls of the personal development industry. There's all of these things they tell you, and there's these platitudes and these slogans, and none of that's bad, but all of it should serve you. It shouldn't be the end all be all. It should serve you. It should say, okay, I like that thing that I heard from that person. How do I apply it? How does it serve me? What can I add to it or on top of it, or pull from a couple areas and get and use that so that now I've got my message that I can share with the world. That's when stuff starts to happen.
I appreciate that so much. And I love that you brought up and shared with us that you went out and took a job that wasn't your dream job by any means, but it's what you had to do so that you could continue to live out your purpose and really work towards achieving those goals and dreams. And again, too, there's so much stuff out there that we really need to be grateful for those little things that, at least I have a job, at least it's bringing in some money and I can continue to do the work that I know that I'm meant to do. You brought up a whole bunch of great points there. And I think it leads right into my first question. So it seems that, every day there's so many people out there and they're really focused on the lack and not focused on what they can be grateful for. How can we shift that?
So what I do is I use language, first of all. We know words are really powerful. And what happens is when we use certain words, it can actually change the way we feel. So let me give you an example with a bank account. So if you were to, let's say that you're hitting hard times like I had, over the last year before we were able to turn it around, like I had before I ever became an entrepreneur, you could look at your phone, you could pull up your balance and let's say there's $25 in there, right? So you have a choice. You could either look at it and go, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I have $25. That's it. Or you could go, hey, $25. You know what? Pretty sure that's more than 20. I mean, literally, I know that sounds stupid, but what if? What if you could actually look at it and go, you know what? Instead of, I can't believe there's $25. What if you looked at your phone and you went, I am really thankful there's not less than 25. I'm really thankful there's 25. What happens is your brain starts to shift. A lot of times I think of it in terms of, like a train track, and there's the little switch thing, right? You can go down that path or that path. That moment of decision switches the track so that you begin now to start thinking of other things you're thankful for. So in the book, I have this thing called A Tale of Two Men, and it's sort of like a story of two really similar guys who have apparently similar lives, but they sure interact with them a lot differently. And I won't give away kind of what we arrive at the end of A Tale of Two Men. But you have the ability for whatever's happening right now to, instead of looking at it and focusing on the lack, focusing on the fact that, man, I'm glad that it's not less. I mean, to use a way overused sort of analogy, it's the glass half full or half empty, but I actually don't think it's really either of those. What I think the glass really is it's simply enough because it's what's there, and it's also refillable. And so the glass, if whatever water's in there is enough because it's perfect, because that's what you've got, and if it's just refillable, you're looking at the same situation. And even if you're like, hey, it's half full, it's half empty. Half full is telling you that there is still a lack. It's half full, not all the way full, or it's half empty. Both of those statements actually indicate that there's a lack. And that's what a lot of people do, Nicole. So what if it was just enough? Or what if it just had the ability to be added to? It's refillable. I don't even want to say refillable as much as I could put more in it, right? The same example shifts when you use different words. And so my recommendation is, instead of focusing on the lack, focus on little minuscule things that you can be thankful for. Focus on these little micro gratitudes. I kind of had to go through this as I was like going through my process where I was trying to figure out ways to find gratitude. And sometimes it was as simple as like, I'm sitting here and I feel like crap, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, all right, I need to find gratitude. What could I do? And I'm like, let me think about something. What could I think about? What could I possibly be thankful for? And I'm doing this thing because I talk with my hands. And I look at my hands and I go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. Thankful I have 10 fingers. It's kind of awesome. And then I start to use them. I can pick up pens with all 10 fingers. I can pick up a can of soda with 10 fingers. I can type and write a book with 10 fingers. Man, I got these 10 fingers. That is freaking awesome. Holy crap, they're attached to hands. I have hands. And oh my gosh, I have arms? Like, are you kidding me? Like, I get how cheesy this sounds. But all you do in that moment is you take what is in your immediate environment and begin to express gratitude for it in a way that it changes how you feel. There's a real scientific process that takes place when you feel and trigger gratitude. Your body releases dopamine, you feel awesome, and you want to keep doing it. That's why it's like switching the trail. Because when you feel dopamine by feeling gratitude for something, not focusing on the lack, it sends you down this pathway that Dr. Alex Korb calls the virtuous cycle, where one thing leads to another thought, to another thought, to another thought. They're all good thoughts that can then fill you with dopamine and make you feel awesome, which makes it easier when the next challenge comes to be able to interact with that in the right way. So I would say use language and use what's right in front of you and around you, and try to find little things to be thankful for, and try to not focus on the lack, but focus on the fact that if it's down here, it has the ability to grow, as opposed to look at all I'm missing out on. And you could do that by simply expressing gratitude for what you have, regardless of how little it may be.
I think that's a great view. I love how you took that glass half full, glass half empty analogy, and it doesn't matter because you can always put more into it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of our audience, or a lot of people out there, they get stuck on, I don't have all those big things that I'm wanting. So they have a tough time feeling grateful, but really all you have to do is look at the smallest thing and just be grateful for that, and then just carry on and just build on that from there. I appreciate all that insight, and I'm sure that the audience will be able to use that as well. So you talked a little bit about gratitude journals, and I know they're super big out there and a lot of people like to use them. I know a lot of people are kind of frustrated though, because they don't really know how to use them, or they just don't work for them. How were you able to take the gratitude journal concept and make it work for you?
So it didn't work for me. So I tried it. It's part of my journey. I tried to do a gratitude journal because I'm like, well, that sounds good, right? And there's 2 reasons why the gratitude journal didn't work for me. And so if anybody's feeling frustrated, one of these 2 reasons or both of them may be the reason why. Now, listen, if you gratitude journal and that's totally awesome for you, keep doing it. Like, the whole idea is that you switch the train track and you put your mind in the place where it needs to be so that your body can start to change, so that your brain rewires its neural pathways. But here's how gratitude journaling, or like why it didn't really work for me. Like, I don't know how you do with your journal, Nicole, or anybody listening, but for me, so like I'm really good at like writing for like 1 or 2 days, and then I kind of don't. Right. And so then half my journal entries are apologies. It's like, and I don't know who I'm apologizing to the journal. I don't know. It's like, I don't want my posterity to read my apologies, but it's what we do. So I write, I'm so sorry. It's been a week since I last wrote. And then I write, maybe it's a day or two. And then there's another gap in the journal and it's another apology. Sorry, it's been so long. I've just been busy. It's like apologies and excuses. And it just, I couldn't get it to really set my soul on fire when I was gratitude journaling. And why I think that is, there's 2 main reasons that maybe somebody in the audience could help them understand why, if it's not working for them, or if they're frustrated by it, why. Number 1, generally speaking, when you gratitude journal, you're removing yourself from the single moment that's the most important, which is this one, right? Because you're removing yourself from now and you're going back to think of things that maybe happened earlier today, like, thankful I got to work safe. I'm thankful my kids listen. Like you're removing from now and you're going to then. So you're literally you're removing yourself in your brain from the single most powerful moment in history, which is the one that you have, what you can do right now. And so you're immediately sucking some power out of the process by thinking of what happened then. The other reason why I think that it generally doesn't work is, a lot of times gratitude journaling, you're just saying thank you for things that are already awesome. Like, that's so easy to do. What I would recommend, if you're going to gratitude journal, is gratitude journal about things that are frustrating you. Like, keep a gratitude journal about that and keep it in the moment. So for example, this is how it would work. If I'm sitting here and I'm like, boom, oh my gosh, oh, I hit my elbow. Freaking hate it when I hit my elbow. Be like, okay, now I'm going to pull out my gratitude journal. What can I possibly be thankful for inside of this thing that I just did that hurts me? And now write. And now it's just hit my elbow. Okay, I've got to find a way to be thankful for that. Look, I'm actually pretty thankful that, at least I have an elbow. Like, I've had this arm. At least I have feelings. And what did I hit it on? I hit it on a desk. Man, I'm thankful I have this desk. Where's the desk? It's in the office. I'm actually really thankful I have an office that I could come and do my work. And so watch what you did. All you did is you took that same moment and you just switched it in an instant, and your brain starts to go on another path. So if you're going to journal, I would keep a gratitude journal about how you are becoming thankful for frustrations as they're happening, versus just removing yourself from and as they're happening right now. Versus removing yourself from the present, thinking about things that are already awesome that happened earlier in the day and writing about that. Again, that's not a bad practice, but I find that it works for a much smaller percentage of people than you might think. And I think that it's because they're removing themselves from now and they're focused on what's already awesome. So it doesn't really change them as a human. All it does is it's just kind of a good practice. What I'm talking about, finding gratitude in the frustration, in the moment the frustration hits, it rewires your brain and changes the very essence of who you are and how you interact with the environment that's around you, no matter what's going on. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. And I'm glad you brought it up that way, is that we really need to use that gratitude to look at our frustrations in a different way, because that's what's going to cause the big shifts. That's what's going to move us forward. Not all the things that we're already grateful for and that we're thankful for, because we already feel grateful for them. So It's not really moving us, but really taking that step to look at what's frustrating with us and really use that to move us forward. That's what's going to create those changes. And that's what true gratitude, I think, is really all about.
Yeah, it totally is. And my buddy Hal Elrod, who wrote The Miracle Morning, he wrote the foreword in my book. He calls it soulful gratitude. Like, the real gratitude that's really a game changer is soulful gratitude. That's the kind of gratitude that you have an emotional connection to, not just pay lip service to. And what I find is that if you can use the words I am thankful for, and especially if you can find something to be thankful for, I always, in the book, I say, find the frustration, because the gratitude switch is a formula. It's FLIP. So F is find the frustration. So if you can find the frustration, and then L is you look for what's awesome embedded in the frustration, I, as you initiate gratitude, which is the whole process of going, okay, I'm frustrated. Let me look for what's awesome embedded in the frustration. Now I'm actually going to use the words, I'm really actually thankful for that thing that's awesome embedded in the frustration. And then it moves automatically to P, which is you power up with gratifuel, which is when your body releases dopamine and you feel awesome. So, and you do that the very instant that a frustration comes up. And so a lot of times I'll have people journal in that way. They'll keep a Flip the Gratitude Switch journal and they'll actually go through FLIP. Like when I do workshops, that's kind of what we do in the workshop is we take a frustration, we walk it through, and then we have the audience help figure out what's awesome and help talk about the frustrations so that that person can initiate the gratitude by using the right language for what's awesome inside of the frustration. And then that kind of sets them on this different trajectory. And so if you're going to gratitude journal, I say do it in that way. I think that's really the powerful thing is just to realize you can look for what's awesome inside the frustration. And that FLIP is the flipping of the gratitude switch.
And your 4-step formula, that's really what allowed me to look at gratitude in a totally different way.
That's
and
awesome.
Really start to feel like I actually felt different when I was doing it because, I can gratitude journal all day long if I needed to, but after a certain point you get stuck there and you're just trying to think. And you're spending more time really, really grasping at things to be thankful for.
True, yeah.
But using your formula, it really makes that emotional connection so that you can actually feel better and, make those changes towards just being grateful for those things that aren't quite working right now. And it's that feeling, those emotional attachments that make you move through them, I think. And practicing that formula is a great way for the audience to get in touch with, like you said, your soulful gratitude. They really have that emotional connection there.
Thank you for saying that, by the way. It really means so much that you've read the book and that you've used it. Like that is truly the highest form of compliment. And then now you're sharing it with people in your life who you love and you care about. I just want to say thank you to you because that really is awesome that you read it and that you use it. And I don't know, let me ask you this question. Can I turn the tables for a second? Because
oh, sure.
So what I found for me is when I started to do that and kind of flip the gratitude switch and find the frustration, look for what's awesome, initiate gratitude, and you power up with gratitude, that for me in the early phases of me kind of moving from being sort of a really angry and ungrateful person to one who lives a totally different life now, I literally would have to go through the process of FLIP. But what happened for me is over time, that process condensed and I don't even have to think about the letters. It's just natural. And that's what I mean by when I say your brain generally rewires itself. So I was just curious, you've been practicing this for a while. So, and there's times with big frustrations where I still have to go through FLIP, but I found that for most of the stuff that happens during the day, I don't have to sit there and go find the frustration, look for what's awesome. It's just sort of this natural thing that happens where I'm no longer ungrateful or bugged about stuff. I'm just naturally thankful for it as it's coming. Have you seen that kind of happen for you? I'm just curious because I know you've been practicing this, or is it something where you, the way kind of your brain and your heart works, are you still going through FLIP when the frustrations come up? I'm just curious.
It probably took me, I would say probably about a week or so of having to use the actual full process because there was a lot of stuff going on for me. And I was like, okay, I'm really going to be grateful for all this stuff. But after that, things just started to fall into place. And I knew by going through that frustration and being thankful for it, that I would just remember, okay, we went through this before. I am still grateful for this. And tomorrow it's not going to matter, or we're going to find a solution for it. So it was the process of really practicing it. And then, after a week, I didn't really need the formula. My brain automatically just went there. And I was able to draw on those past experiences to know that I'm grateful for this. It's going to change and we're going to be okay. So it takes time, but it may take the audience a little bit longer or a little bit less, but just keep doing it. Right. And again, there's times too where really big stuff happens and it's like, okay, I'm going to really need to sit down and kind of pick through this and use the process to shift it too.
That's cool.
So yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Cause I kind of feel like that's sort of been my evolution too, is that it becomes more natural. There's times you still need it. But if I hadn't had the actual FLIP to actually think through the steps, man, that's really what I needed to kind of really understand in depth each one of those to really kind of figure out where to go. And also the other thing I like about it for me, and look, I talk about the message like it's somebody else's because I just feel like it was given to me. I don't feel like I'm not and I'm the ambassador of the message. That's it. I'm the one who needed more gratitude than anybody, which is why I think God told me to write the book about it, because he knew that that's the way I could learn it. But I found that having the FLIP has really helped me like teach my kids, because we talk about it all the time in our home. I got a letter on Facebook. Well, the letter was from a son to his mother, and it was so amazing. And she read the book, and she's been so kind to tell me that it's made an impact for her. And I guess she was kind of a, not an angry mom, right? But like would get bugged pretty easy with her kids or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so she read the book and started to apply the principles. She installed, I have these light switches that I like to give people with the book, and that you can get online. And it says, flip the gratitude switch. And so I gave her some of those. She put them up in the home, and her son, her cute little awesome, I think he's like 6. He wrote her this letter, and he's like, thanks for swinging with me, Mom. And thank you for flipping your gratitude switch. It makes you the person you are. And like she was saying, oh my gosh, like my kid noticed a difference because I started to interact with stuff differently. And I found that having the flip formula and FLIP and stuff like that has really helped me kind of teach my kids in a tangible way what to do when things are kind of frustrating, so that they can sort of shift that moment. And so I'm really thankful for the formula that kind of came out through the book process, because being able to teach my kids, and I really wrote the book, if anything, for my kids, so that they know that they don't have to go through life in the way that I went through it for like 35 years, that there's a different approach to things. And so I'm really thankful for the formula in that sense too, that it helps me teach others sort of this way of beginning to shift your everything by doing something different right now.
That's true. You brought up a great point. I heard you say that you're probably one of the people the most that needed to learn gratitude. And I find that I think so often we teach what we actually need to learn the most ourselves. So I think that's what helps us, really gain that passion and really be such a good teachers, because we're being such a good student too. We're really practicing what we need to learn so that we can share it with everybody else.
Yeah, completely.
So you brought up tons of great information for the audience. Can you share with us what you think is the missing link in virtually all the literature out there about gratitude, happiness, and success?
Yeah, I think that the big thing that it's missing is that gratitude needs to be something you do, not just something you feel. So a lot of people say that, you should feel thankful. What I couldn't find in any of the stuff that I was reading is that gratitude is something you do, that it's active, that it's a verb, that it becomes something that not only that you can begin to have power over, that it's like this actual physical, mental, and emotional act, that gratitude is active, not passive. And that was the one thing I couldn't find anywhere. And it's the reason why I think I was getting frustrated as I was reading personal development stuff and not feeling like my insides were changing at all, but feeling like I needed to find a way to use gratitude, because I felt like that's what that kind of thought that I had received through inspiration, like, Kev, use gratitude. But then I was like, well, how do I go find it? And there are so many books that talk about gratitude, that talk about the scientific benefits of it, that talk about, ways to be happy, and that gratitude could be a participant in being happier. But I could not for the life of me find the guidebook that said, almost like Gratitude for Dummies, right? Because I was kind of a dummy and I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't find the guidebook that said, here's where you are, here's the little things you do, boo-boo, so that you can become thankful. And so the book, I'll be honest, it's a guidebook, because I couldn't find the guidebook, so I wrote it. So there's lots of way better books that talk about the positive effects of gratitude and that talk about how awesome gratitude is. And there's some great books on that. My book is ideal for somebody that wants to use gratitude in a powerful way to completely change their life and is not sure how to do it. If you already are very well versed in gratitude, I think that the book could give you some ideas that could be helpful. But what I was missing was that guidebook, that sort of step-by-step, let me take you by the hand and let me teach it to you in a variety of different ways. Because I kind of teach the concepts in about 3 or 4 different ways through different sort of modes of learning in the book, so that I know that not everybody's going to read my whole book, but I wanted to make sure, and there's a lot of people that have, and I'm really thankful for that, but I wanted to make sure that if somebody just cracked the book open and bought the book and read a few chapters, that they could already start to change their life, that there was a modality that spoke to them. And so that's kind of what I felt like was missing, is that key that gratitude is something you do, not something you feel. That gratitude is a verb, not a passive emotion that you feel from time to time that could change you. That it's really something you have complete and total 100% control over, and you can actually use that control to change your life through the magnificent and really, I think, eternal power of something as simple as gratitude.
I think that's a great point. That was one of my favorite parts of the book, is that it was a how-to, because I'm kind of a why girl. Like, I need to know why things work and how I can actually do it, how I can apply it. And that gratitude definitely is an action. Your actions need to match the way that your thoughts are to really grab a hold of it, to really make those changes. So I think it's perfect that your book goes like right through the process, step by step, on how we can do this.
Thank you.
Because it's great to hear all kinds of things,
Sure.
but I find that, there's lots of great information out there, and we can read a ton, but unless we're actually applying it, it's not really sticky, and we're not really learning everything that we could be learning. So I love that you did that.
Oh, thank you.
Is there anything else?
I literally felt like it's what I needed. Like, I wish that somebody would have written this book and I could have read it and been like, oh my gosh, that's how you do it. And also in that spirit, I mean, that's why I wrote it for my kids. In fact, not everybody knows this, but Zig Ziglar, who is just awesome, and the whole Zig Ziglar family has copies of Flip the Gratitude Switch, by the way, which is so cool. I wish Zig was still alive. But Zig, I heard him say something in a talk, and he was like, you should always speak to your audience at about a second or third grade level, right? Which is the age of my daughter. And so I wrote the book like that. Like, I had a picture of my daughter up. My daughter's my oldest. She's 8. And when I was writing the book, she was like 6 and 7. She's a little smarty pants, though. I had a picture of her up, and there were times when I was like, how do I explain this principle? And I would think through how I would describe it to Brooklyn, and then I would kind of write that. And, I did that because I wanted her to be able to pick up this book and read it and go, oh my gosh, that's how I can feel different. And she actually is such an awesome ambassador. Like, she's at school, like, teaching her friends that when they get frustrated, there's something they can do. Like, how many parents teach their kids that? They just tell them, stop your whining, stop your complaining, stop throwing a fit. You know what? You should be thankful for the food that's on your plate. That doesn't really spark gratitude, right? Because like, you're being yelled at. And so my daughter, she's kind of been able to wrap her mind around this, and she's not perfect at it. I'm not perfect at it. But I like that for the book. And I've had other parents who've had their kids that are 10 or 11, 12 or 13 read the book so that their kids can start to just think of things differently. And I get so many awesome letters and stories from people all over the world about little interactions they're having with their children based on this. And I just love that so much, because I feel like it literally is this opportunity to take this upcoming generation and help them see they don't have to view life the way everybody else does in a world that is so full of negativity and tearing others down. Like, there's something you can do with what you have right now inside your mind, heart, and the being that you are that can shift your everything. And it's available to you in unlimited and pure and free supply. And it's right here. And if we could teach the kids that, oh my gosh, like, imagine how they'll look at life as they get older and what they'll do and the impact that they will have. And so anyway, so I just kind of wanted to point that out, because there may be times that the book seems simple, but I needed that simple guide because it wasn't out there. And I wanted to make sure that if my daughter could understand it, I figured that we as adults could probably understand it too. And that was really important to me. Instead of just like writing a book that was all kinds of full of scientific facts and this is how it works in this study, like, there's some of that in there, because I know that sometimes people have that analytical mind. So I put it in there and I did tons of research and there's lots of good stuff, but it's like, what about the normal person like you and me who's just waking up every day, stubbing their toe, getting caught in traffic, has a boss that they don't like, the kids aren't listening, the kids are yelling, they're spilling milk on the floor, and your spouse doesn't give you the appreciation you think you deserve? I mean, what about people like that, like me, like you? What can we give them in a really easy, digestible format so that they can change their life with the life that they have right now? And that's what I really, really tried to accomplish with the book. And I'm so thankful that you read it and that you're giving me this platform to kind of share it with other people. It means a lot that it meant enough to you that you wanted to share it with others. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm more than happy to have you on the summit. I'm glad that you could be here. And I think that, when we're stuck in those emotions where we're just feeling really crappy, we can't see anything that's good out there, just that negative funk. Having a book that's so simple, that's super easy to read and just gives us the how-to, that's what allows us to really make those changes, because we need that. We need something that's really easy, something that we can follow to really make those shifts. Otherwise, we just get stuck in there because we think everything is too hard. So why kind of even bother trying, right?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Well, and I just want to, to kind of wrap up, I want people to have the book, and I want them to have the light switch covers. And I have a whole course that I put together on just kind of how to accelerate this process of flipping the gratitude switch. And if they want to go to fuelingyourhappy.com, that's the only site. There's a ticker on there. So the first time somebody hears about that site, they have 48 hours to be able to get a hardcover book, a light switch cover, and my entire course that I usually sell for $397. So they get all that for $20. So the light switches are like $11. The book's $25. The course is $397. So if you go to fuelingyourhappy.com, you can get all three of those for $20, because I want as many people as possible to have access to it, so that hopefully it'll do something good for them,
That is awesome.
And what's cool too is the audiobook is included in that course. So it's not, you have to buy it separate if you listen through Audible, but I do include the audiobook in that course. And some people like to know that because some people want to listen. And I read the audiobook myself, because I like it better when authors read their own stuff instead of hire somebody else to read it. That's just me. But anyway.
Oh, that's a great point too. And I think the audience likes that too. We like to be able to hear from the authors themselves. And I want to thank you again. You've been so generous with the audience and all your free stuff. I want to encourage everybody to go to Kevin's websites and download. I know on kevinclayson.com, you have a download for 2 free chapters of your book as well.
2 free audio and 2 free written chapters on kevinclayson.com.
Perfect. And follow Kevin on Twitter at Kevin Clayson, on Facebook and YouTube. He's even on Instagram. We are placing all the links for Kevin's websites, for your downloads, for everything you need to follow him on social media. They're in the email that you guys received today for the interview. So all you have to do is click and you can get access to all Kevin's great resources. Kevin, I really appreciate you taking the time to be here with us today. You have given me even more great insights and tools to use. And I'm sure everybody is going to go out and grab Flip the Gratitude Switch, your amazing book, and start changing their lives today. So really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here with us. And I look forward to seeing more of your great work that I know that you're going to have in store.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nicole. And thank you to everybody watching. You guys are awesome.
Thank you. Have a good day, Kevin.
Bye-bye.